British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, I'm Jeannie Lin with your news at 10 o'clock. Coming up, producer Aiden Singh has the headlines of what's happening today.
A woman has been charged in the assault of a senior citizen on a downtown Vancouver street corner. The woman allegedly punched and spat at the victim. In other news, Mark Carney speaks on President Trump's invitation. Diddy's trial presses onwards this morning. And an overnight Israeli airstrike claims the lives of at least 70. Back to you, Jeannie.
The Petula Bridge that connects New Westminster and Surrey will close in both directions this upcoming weekend. The closure begins from 9 p.m. this Friday and ends next Tuesday, the 20th, at 5 a.m. The Vancouver Police Department has arrested and charged a woman with one count of assault, following an investigation in which a senior victim reported being punched and spat on last Friday night in downtown Vancouver, near Granville and Drake Street. 45-year-old Suzanne Good-Eagle is arrested in connection to the incident. A new study found that rule changes meant to reduce opioid overdose deaths in British Columbia in 2016 actually harmed cancer and palliative care patients by reducing their access to painkillers. The issues are due to these rules being applied to patients with chronic pain unrelated to cancer. But Dimitria Panagiotoglou, lead author of the study published in the Canadian Medical Association journals, speaks of the spillover effect to cancer and palliative care patients as well.
So the aim had been for chronic non-cancer pain folks because the evidence around the effectiveness of opioids was pretty equivocal. So it wasn't clear that opioids had long-term benefits for this population. But in kind of the ongoing messages that physicians were getting at the time, opioids being bad, individuals decided to pull back on their prescribing, but there was this larger population level effect.
Mark Carney states that the UK invitation for US President Trump for a second state visit was not a coincidence, following issues around Canadian sovereignty during the ongoing tariff wars, and Trump claiming Canada as a US 51st state. In US news, the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs continues this morning. R&B singer Cassie is back on the witness stand to testify about Combs beating her at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. Combs has pleaded not guilty and rejected a plea deal. His lawyers claim that all sexual acts between them were consensual.
Cassie, wearing a tight brownish turtleneck that shows off her prominent baby bump, took the stand and told jurors Sean Diddy Combs introduced her to freak-offs, where he'd watch her have sex with paid male escorts. Her voice slight and hesitant, she went into detail about their sex life. She said her stomach fell when Diddy told her what he wanted, but she loved him and wanted to make him happy. They met when she was 19 and he was 37, but she said it wasn't until a few years later that they started to have sex. Dabbing her eyes with a tissue and sniffling, she had a hard time discussing aspects of their life. She told jurors she did not want to take part in the freak-offs, but was afraid not to because Combs could release videos and photos, which she called blackmail material. At court in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
Newark International Airport, the largest in the state of New Jersey, reports chronic issues with delays and cancellations. These issues are caused by the shortage of air traffic controllers and the aging equipment they use. The Federal Aviation Administration plans to handle these issues by doing technical, short-term repairs and cutting flights in the meantime. U.S. President Donald Trump continues his 4-day Middle East trip today in Saudi Arabia. He met Syria interim President Ahmed al-Shara, marking the first encounter between the two nations in 25 years. Trump announces that he will ease sanctions on Syria and begin new relations with the country for peace. Crowds gathered today at Yuma Square in Damascus to celebrate. Israeli airstrikes in northern and southern Gaza overnight have killed at least 70 people, including 24 children. There was hope that President Trump's visit to the Middle East would bring about new ceasefire and humanitarian cancer. These are.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
morning. My name is Ava Boulay, and these are your sports headlines. Good morning. My name is Ava Boulay, and these are your sports headlines at 10:10. Attention Canucks fans, Adam Foote has reportedly been named the new head coach for the Canucks for the upcoming season. The 53-year-old has played a long career in the NHL, spreading 19 seasons with the Quebec Nordique. Continuing with our NHL playoff updates, the Dallas Stars beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-1 in a game 4 of round 2 of the playoff series. Jets coach Scott Arnell says the team needs to take advantage of its scoring chances.
I liked a lot of what we did 5-on-5. I liked a lot of the opportunities that we created. I loved our first period. We got off to a great start, had them hemmed in, had some great looks. Ottinger made some big stops. But like I said, we had 70 shot attempts. We got to get more than that, more than one goal off of those.
Game 5 is scheduled for May 15th. 2 Canadian teams are hitting the ice tonight in the NHL Round 2 playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs are hosting the Florida Panthers for Game 5 of a 2-2 tied-up series. Edmonton Oilers are traveling to Sin City to face off the Vegas Golden Knights. The Oilers lead the series 3-1. If Oilers take the victory, they move on to the Western Conference Finals. The trial against former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team continues. A woman who alleged she was sexually assaulted by 5 former members of the Canadians World Junior Hockey team is facing more questions from prosecutors today. Defense lawyers finished cross-examining the woman Tuesday, and the Crown has now had the opportunity to follow up on any topics raised in that process. This is the woman's 9th day on the stand. She cannot be identified under standard publication ban. Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Alex Formanton, Dylan Dube, and Callan Foote have all pleaded not guilty to sexual assault. McLeod has also pleaded not guilty to additional charges of being a party to the offense of sexual assault. The charges stem from an encounter that took place in London, Ontario hotel room in early hours of June 19th, 2018. Famed rapper Snoop Dogg will be coming to Vancouver on June 7th for the BC Lions home opener against the Edmonton Elks. Snoop Dogg will be performing at BC Place just before game time at 5:45. Snoop Dogg is no stranger to the sports world, having recently performed with Dr. Dre during the closing ceremonies of the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Moving on to soccer, Canadian striker Jonathan David has announced his departure as a free agent from Liga side Lille FC. David released his departure announcement on Wednesday via social media.
I wanted you to hear from me. After 5 years at the club, it's time to say goodbye. I spent 5 amazing years in Lille. I know it hasn't been the easiest, but I hope that my goals and celebrations have brought you guys some joy and happiness. And it's been a long and fun ride.
David joined Lille from Ghent in 2020 with a $3 million move. He won the league title in his first year. In 231 appearances for Les Dogs, he netted 109 goals in all competitions. The summer transfer window opens June 12th. On to basketball. Cooper Flagg is starting to settle in as tentative number 1 draft pick. The Dallas Mavericks claimed number 1 pick in what fans are calling a lottery win, with a 1.8 chance after the shocking trade of Luka Doncic. The 6'9", 18-year-old power forward from Maine is highly anticipated player for the NBA.
What do you think of Combine today?
I thought it was really good. A lot of touching, guys, going out there working hard, showing what they can do. So I thought it was a really good day.
What did you show today?
I think just the versatility, the speed, athleticism, the vertical all together, and then just the ability to keep working on my shot. My favorite drill, probably some of the shooting drills, just, showing basketball side of things, being on the court, so that was fun.
Go into our Canadian team. The Toronto Raptors will draft 9th in June. In football news, the NFL is set to release the full season schedule later tonight at 5 p.m. Holiday games have already been released. Those were your sports headline stories at 10:10. Stay for more sports at 10:40.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.